What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Elevation. I'm here with another elevated message pertaining to the JBP and the Larry Jackson interview. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on Patreon. It's on YouTube. I am going to be playing some excerpts from it, so hopefully I don't get demonetized from Joe or YouTube themselves for copyright infringement. But they were talking about things that we kind of already knew and were alluded to, but we never were able to put two and two together because we were never able to speak to the source. So I think this interview is kind of big just because who he's having it with as opposed to what was being said in it. Even though myself, I think there was a bunch of jewels dropped. But anyway, enough rambling. Let's get straight into it. It's tricks.
Yeah, there's definitely tricks to be had. But yeah, so it was an incredible opportunity to be able to assert my opinion and say, maybe the dad rock thing is dead and maybe we should be focusing on this area, which is, I'm telling you, the stock's at $10. If you get in, it's going to 100. And I'm talking about black music. I'm talking about hip hop culture.
And that's all well and good. People like this who are black, they use that in order to gain their black audience because they know if they have a higher intellect that a lot of people aren't going to rock with them because of how they're moving, which I find, I don't know why we do that, but it is a real thing. So they use the color of their skin in order to gain the audience. So in him saying that there's so much money in the black music sphere, he's telling that to Joe because he was expecting Joe and everybody that's listening to this interview to take it as he was looking out for us. But if I let this play a little further, you'll see where his real intentions were behind it.
Talking about where I come from, and I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. Which then came those deals that I was just referring to, right? But the Drake deal was really important.
Listen to this.
So important. I would even analogize it to when Walter Yetnikoff fought to get Billie Jean on MTV for the first time.
Okay.
That important. Because, again, before that, we're talking about John Mayer, Sarah Bareilles,
And because I started in the middle of the interview, the Drake deal that he's talking about is when Drake signed that deal with Apple Music whenever he had OVO radio popping and his releases that were coming out straight to Apple. I know y'all remember that. And I know y'all remember as of recent with this Kendrick Lamar beef with Drake and the industry, the 20v1. I know y'all recall people saying and the rumors out there being that Drake is signed to multiple labels. And shout out to Joe because he's the one that put this in the atmosphere, which is why I believe Larry Jackson is having this interview with Joe. Because if you listen to this interview enough, you'll hear how he skips and tap dances around all these questions and answers how media trained niggas would answer. So he was doing this more for a benefit of him and Gamma because later on it's revealed that he runs Gamma and all the major people that he was able to get with him at Gamma, not only artists but like the execs and everything of that nature. But I find it very funny that he's acknowledging this Drake deal with Apple and comparing it to such a huge deal of the past.
digital music was dominated by those artists at that particular time.
Okay.
You know, every once in a while, like 50 Cent would sneak in and Eminem, but it wasn't like it is right now. So when I got to Apple, I looked at DatPiff, mymixtapes.com, livemixtapes.com, and more than I felt like Spotify was our competition, I felt like that was an area that we needed to occupy.
Wow. And Joe's smart enough for shit like this, when it's said directly to his face, for it not to go over his head. So hopefully he's ruminating on the things that Larry Jackson was saying in this interview. I don't know when they actually had this interview because he said his brother passed in January 28th, and he's speaking on it as if it's still recent. And I know that's a major thing to be dealing with. So I'm not trying to knock anyone's grieving process. So condolences to him and his family. But I don't know, I'm just stating that because I don't know how recent this interview was recorded. But anyway, I know this is ruminating in Joe's head. If it didn't just outright go over it. Your target, instead of Spotify, who was cornering the market and had a paid subscription model, was Live Mixtapes, DatPiff, all the free websites. Now let's take it back. Anybody that used to be on Dat Pit for live mixtapes, knows that everything was free and that you could download albums straight from the website to your computer. And then everybody knows Nero and all those CD burner softwares that we used to have back in the day. You could just put it on a CD and you could ride with it for free. And the reason that artists put out mixtapes back in the day, quote unquote, for free was A, they were using other people's intellectual properties, whether it's a producer or another artist or whoever's the song actual rights belong to. They couldn't, quote unquote, profit off of it, but it was in order for them to mass market to everyone around the world. Therefore, they can tour off of their actual songs. So mixtapes put money in the artist's pocket that way. But all the producers who were making the original songs and the beats and everything of that nature, and the people that were getting sampled, every time the mixtape would come out, we're not getting paid from this. So Larry Jackson was smart enough to corner that market. We already have all these influential artists who are black and in the rap hip hop genre that we already milk and make millions upon millions upon millions of dollars from. Why not take all the shit that they're putting out for free and put it on our own platform that we're about to come out with, which was Apple Music? And I know y'all remember the Beats by Dre shit, because it was a Beats app that was on HP computers. And then since they bought Beats by Dre, they turned that technology into the Apple Music, and then it kind of just grew into what it is today. But Apple Music was Beats first. This shit gets really deep, man. And I find it funny that fucking Larry was throwing all this shit in Joe's face about how much he wasn't getting paid and basically how he cornered the market and now all the artists are getting paid. But I don't think that's the case. I think that's why people are going against Drake right now, because of this deal that he's speaking on. So we got to pay attention to the things that people talk about right in front of our face, even if they're trying to mask real information that's hidden beneath.
Because it was all free music. Come again?
Genius.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was.
Thank you.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
nigga.
SoundCloud.
No, it ain't no thank you, nigga. Because us as the consumers, we're the ones that suffered as a result of this. Now we can't even hear artists get on other artists' beats unless it's a remix, and then niggas is getting paid from it. And I'm not telling niggas that they can't get their bread, but you niggas were supposed to be getting bread from the majors. Why would you sign to a major if you weren't getting paid from the major? What are they putting in your pockets? And that's why I don't think that there's really any independent artists. That's why all these independent artists are signing with these major distribution deals. It's not the label that they're worried about, it's the distribution. And that's who I think the labels have a major corner on the market with. Because yes, you can put your shit on the internet and everybody can know that you put something on the internet, but that's you and your audience. How are you getting it across the world? How are you getting it to people in Kansas that don't know who the fuck you are? That's where the distribution comes in. And if the major music labels have that cornered and already have those niggas in their pockets, y'all can be as independent as you want to be. Y'all can be as independent as you want to be. You still have to go through us.
So to be able to,
and that's what's happening with Apple Music.
Take their music off of their platforms and now put it through this new thing called streaming took a lot of work. But the people that got it first, I will say, people who really got it first were Drake and Abel, you know? And
why and how do you think Drake amassed 250 million plus net worth? Why do you think people call Drake a plant so much in the industry? It's because of networking and meetings behind the scenes like this. You think Larry Jackson didn't put that in his head? Normally, it's artists go and turn into actors because we saw the talent that they had through their music, so we're trying to see if they can explore in the entertainment sphere. It doesn't happen the other way around. So yeah, if you know the inner workings of ASCAP and all the, I don't know all the abbreviations for the movie industry, but there's a bunch of them. If you already know the inner workings as an actor, why wouldn't you try to exploit that in the music industry, and why wouldn't you connect with somebody that is already exploiting it? Especially if a new venture such as streaming is about to come about. This nigga just told us, I took all the free music from SoundCloud, Dat Piff, fucking live mixtapes, which was my favorite website back in the day. I took all the free music off of that and put it on my platform, and now you niggas have to pay. And he said it earlier in this interview. CDs themselves used to cost $11.99. And I remember because I used to ask my mom, Mom, can we go to Best Buy? I want to get Ice Cube's greatest hits album. It just dropped today. Oh yeah, do you have $14? I remember these things. And that was one album. It only had like 17 songs on it. So how did we go from paying that much for an album? How did they convince these niggas that the streaming era is way better than the album era? And that's why they were putting out mixtapes for free for us to consume for free. Because every time we put out an album, if I build my name up enough throughout these free mixtapes that I'm dropping, when I drop an album and it goes platinum, I'm going to be rich. Because if my album's selling for $11 a pop and it goes platinum, that's 11 million. If I have 16 to 20 points on the album, how much does that amass for me? But instead of actually trying to be independent and figure this shit out, like Master P, that's why they're trying to suppress his shit. And that's what the part of the story that I feel like everyone fails to realize that part of the story every time Master P tells it. He never says that he went above and beyond the majors. He just says that he figured out his own distribution deal. I already sold 1 million records on my own in Louisiana and Texas. Why the fuck can I figure this out throughout the rest of the 48 states of the United States of America? Yes, you niggas can get your little 10% of my album, but I want 90% of the distribution. And if I'm controlling the distribution because I already talked to everyone throughout the United States, I don't need you niggas. You understand me? But let's keep going, man. I'm sorry that I interjected as long as I did. I really wanted to let the interview play, but
that changed my life, you know, because it made leaving what we were doing at that time at Interscope and putting our careers on the line to do this new idea at Apple a success. And again, I think those deals, what they did was that they educated us. They educated our culture. This is the new place where you get the shit at.
Yeah, it was fire.
Oh, Joe, I would have pressed this nigga in this interview. So this is the place where we get all the new shit at because you cornered the market, and now instead of it being free where we get all the shit at, because there was multiple sources of, you said it yourself, Dat Pitt live mixtapes. Now, because these artists can't put their music on there because of you, the major record labels, because y'all aren't letting them distribute this shit without there being payments attached to that. No more mixtapes, no more free music. Now, all of a sudden, y'all have the place where it's supposed to be at, as if this was just something that you invented or just came up with out of thin air. Like, we did that, and it's because of our skin color. Look, we're black. I did it for us. You didn't do this for us, motherfucker. You did not do this for us. And later on in the interview, because I'm not going to play the whole interview, but later on in the interview, Joe's asking pertinent questions pertaining to Sexy Red and Drake, and this nigga sidesteps the fuck out of all of them. This nigga Gregory Hines on the mic. I didn't know Gregory Hines was this good at interview.
In the same, it was big, it was transformative, and in the same way that it did the same thing in 1983 when Billie Jean got on MTV, you know? Because it
even the correlation that he's making with Michael Jackson getting on motherfucking MTV, it was so major back then in the 80s when he was able to get on MTV because he was black and they weren't catering to a black audience. So when he got on that, he was able to go worldwide type shit. That's what the meaning behind that and why it's so major. You comparing this Drake shit to that is a false comparison. What Drake and you did, you keep putting Drake behind this because you want him to be the face. You're trying to stay behind the scenes. But I know how concierge work. What you and Drake did is nowhere in comparison to what happened with Billie Jean and MTV. Because you niggas took the free music away from the consumer. And because y'all were behind it at its infancy, y'all niggas are the one that's cornering the market. And y'all are the ones making the most money from it. Yeah, other independent artists might be paid and they might get money off their own fruition, but y'all still have y'all hand in the pie and y'all still getting a cut out of it. And what I want to know and what I want these artists to come out and tell us is how much of a percentage do these niggas get of your touring now? Because that's where I used to make the money from on the mixtapes. Do they have a percentage of your touring? Did they have a percentage of your touring back then? And it was just a minuscule number as opposed to all the percentages that you had to pay off of everything else. So if they had a 10% share of your touring back then and you got 90%, you're hitting the lick. But what is it now? This shit gets deep. And because everything is intertwined, it's not you could just put music out. We don't know the inner workings of the music industry. My big question, What is distribution? Who controls mass marketing? Because that's all distribution is. Who's in control of that? If we can find out the inner workings that the music niggas know and get those people and network with those people and get those people in our pockets, we could change and put the music industry on its head. But we're not trying to figure that out because these niggas already got the bread.
I think that might even be before BET really became a thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, at the time, though, when the Apple exclusives came about.
I want to get back to Gamma, though, but let's go down this path, though, for a second.
You don't want to get back to Gamma.
In a second. When the Apple exclusives came out, there were some of us confused out there wondering how that even was allowed to take place because these were artists that were signed.
You want the truth?
Yes. Yes.
The truth.
Yes.
Nobody believed in streaming. Like, oftentimes felt like when I went into these meetings that, like, I was a Jimmy and we were literally just shouting into the wind, you know, no free streaming. You know, when I say no free, I mean it's shorthand for, you know, we never, and I still don't love free tiers.
I still don't love free tiers. Streaming, if y'all niggas remember iTunes back in the day, it was 99 cents to purchase the music. And the artist would get paid, the production company would get paid, the labels would get paid, so on and so forth. Streaming, and that was a very pertinent question, streaming allows us to, in essence, create a radio station and we can play any and every artist's music on our platform. On our platform! Throughout the music label and the distribution deals, or whoever you're signed to, we can only promote our artists. But if we create the platform where music is distributed from and dispersed amongst the world, we can play artists from their labels and still get a cut from their artists. This shit is really deep, yo. This shit is really, really deep. But I've vowed and made a vow to myself that I wouldn't make over 20-minute videos because of the retention rate when they're under 20 minutes, it'd be like 90%. So I feel like we have a 20-minute attention span, especially on a new discovered nigga like myself. So I'm going to cut it short. If y'all want a part 2, leave comments in the fucking comment section. Make sure y'all like, share this video. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. But, man, go check that interview out with Joe and Larry. It's on his YouTube page. It's on Patreon. The whole nine. But I salute y'all, man. I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Y'all be safe and salute the Most High.